Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Oh, hold on a second. Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Oh, okay. uh, welcome to Words of Pearls. My name is Chang-Ageda. I'm usually doing this on Sabbath Eve or Saturday evening, depending on whether we're in the winter or what time of, we are in. However, today, uh, the topic, as a matter of fact, is procrastination. And procrastination is actually what got me to be doing it today instead of on Sabbath, or Sabbath evening, actually, last Sabbath Eve, Saturday evening, after worship, when we do worship. Um, so I was putting it off and putting it off. And finally, it was Sunday. And then on Sunday, I went out, and by the time I came back, I'm like, okay, not today. So here I am, not putting it off any longer because the topic is procrastination and how apropos that I should fall prey to this topic, right? Okay. So, procrastination, what is this? This is when we delay things or we put things off um, that requires immediate attention, right? And we dilly-dally or we dawdle, right? And why do we procrastinate? Sometimes it's because we're not motivated enough, right? We don't feel the motivation to do it. Well, that actually wasn't I am motivated to do it. So I didn't fall in that category, right? There are other times when we feel we overestimate the time that we have left. I know I fell into that category when I was in college, right? Overestimated you get the assignments, you have the project due or the papers due, and they're like, you have 3 weeks or a month. And I'm like, yeah, I've got time. And then, um, yeah, nope, don't have any time because we know time moves speed. There are times when we underestimate the time that it will take to complete the task. So sometimes it's a project to do. I remember once having, I used to do the banners at my church, and the small ones, you knock them out in no time. The bigger ones, because I used to freehand, right? I used to draw the letters by hand and then I color block them in, whether it's with the Sharpie. I needed the huge Sharpie in order to do that. Sometimes it was glitter, sometimes it was paint. So whatever it is, and time for drying. There was that. So, um, yeah, I'm talking about procrastination. However, I was a chronic procrastinator. I'm no longer, I'm no longer there. Do I still sometimes put things off? But I've learned some tools in how to overcome that, which I'll share. But it's like, where do you see yourself? Also, we know that fear, you know, can affect and cause you to procrastinate because of fear, we become unmotivated. Because of fear, we feel unqualified. Because of fear, we feel hopeless or we doubt ourselves, right? That, listen, this is just not going to be. Um, if you are a perfectionist, know this, that you tend to procrastinate. Why does the perfectionist do this? Perfectionists procrastinate because you tend to focus on, oh, what if I make a mistake? Oh, I'm going to make mistakes automatically, right? Or or you start worrying about, will others receive the end product? How well will they receive it? So you start worrying about what people are going to think about the body of work you're putting out. So if you're an artist, if you're a stylist, if you are a designer, if you have an outfit to create, or you have a project that you're working on, or like when I worked on banners, or even books. How about authors? Some authors feel they get the writing block. And this happens at times when we tend to put a whole lot, like, okay, let's see the big picture, the book, the end result, right? The painting or the art piece that needs to be done, or it's an event that you're planning for, and you're like, oh my god, what did I get myself into? How can I accomplish this? The thing is, we procrastinate when we don't know what to do or how to do it. Because have you ever been given an assignment and you're really not sure about it? You're like, okay, that's just probably just me, right? Also, um, sometimes we procrastinate when we just don't want to tackle the assignment. We just don't want to do it. I don't like the topic. I don't want to write this paper. I don't um like maybe if it's your job and you may not like certain aspects of it, and then you're given an assignment that you have to accomplish by a certain time, but you don't like, you're like, you drag your feet, okay? And then there are those who like to wait until the last minute because you figure, got enough sufficient time. Or how many of you have said, hey, I work best under pressure, so I'm going to just leave it till the last minute, and then it'll be like it's on and popping because I'm a last minute person and I'll do it at the last minute. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. You're only giving yourself more stress. Because some of us feel that, we're challenged if at the last moment I've got to do this. I put out my best work. You also stress out a whole bunch of people right there with you. Okay? When you're doing that, right? Because you're not, yeah. So, the thing is, we know that procrastination is usually not good. And sometimes it causes people to fail, even, because when you delay and delay and delay, then sometimes folks run out of time for the due date, because that's the thing about procrastination. It's always about something that has a due date, right? And so we have different types of procrastinators. I talked about the perfectionist, right? That worries a lot or focuses on the mistakes, right? Because perfectionists always want everything to be perfect. And we have the dreamers, right? Who are like, well, yes, oh, it will get done and it's going to be grand. But if you don't start the legwork at the time, right? And the defier pretty much is like the person who says, hey, I can do it last minute. Nah, I'll just knock it out in two twos. The worrier also perfectionist, that worries about the thing and puts it off, and the crisis maker that I am best under pressure, right? And then we have these people, right? There's another set of procrastinators, the overdoers, the people pleasers, right? Take on all these challenges at once and then go, oh, what did I do? I should have said no. I shouldn't have taken on another project. And I've been there. Seriously, I've been there. I've done that. But God has brought me through. I've learned God did not give to me the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. And that sound mind needs to think rationally, right? Not to be the people pleaser, not to take on too much, not to overthink it, not to underestimate myself or unqualify myself, you know, but to say, wait, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that, my friends, have helped me a whole lot. The I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I know that when the assignments that I get, when he calls me to them, that he qualifies me. Um, I remember writing my first book. I have written, I have published three, but I have like five more. That's already completed, right? Not yet published. Don't know what I'm waiting on. But like sometimes the little bit of the the perfectionist kind of come back into play at times. So I look at it and I go over it and I'm like, yeah, no, I need to tweak it and tweak it. And that's the thing. And I also taught my children this because I noticed that in them too, that perfection, it's like doing, and you can't stop. Especially the creative ones, the artists, those who paint and draw. And you look at the work and you go, ah, not quite, no, no, no. Because you see, what you see in your head. And even in doing assignment for others, sometimes others will see it and go, okay, it's okay. And yeah, no, still need to do some work. So how can we overcome procrastinating or overcome procrastination by no longer procrastinating, no longer delaying? As I said, I have realized I don't have to be a people pleaser and that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and that has given me not the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. That being said, right? Some folks might say, hey, I don't believe in God. So, you know, and I will not force God down anyone's throat. He is God. He is creator of all mankind, and that stands. However, what you could do is make a list, make a to-do list of every task that you have to do with this assignment. Let's say you're writing a book and you don't know where to start, right? So you have to start writing. You need a publisher, right? The topic you're writing on. And, you can make steps, write these things down, and then um, have a date, right? When you would like your book to be published, or you know if you're like me and you're directed by the Lord and he says it has to be published by this time, then you got to work on it, right, and get all the pieces into place. um Break the tasks down, right? Like for me, when I had to do the banners, I would go get the oak tags. I would get the paints or glitter, or I have my pencils or on the Sharpies, make sure that I have new ones because when I'm doing huge banners and it took a lot, right? So I'd get that out of the way. Then what I would start to do is whatever I know what the banner says. And so what I would do is I'd work on it a little bit at a time. So I'd box it out. So, pretty much like I'd get my pen, my rulers, and start um sectioning off the section that I want the letters to go in. Because then I go in and I do this by hand. So I'm going to do this as many times. I have my eraser to make sure that I hold it up. And then I put them all together, right? Once I put them together to see how before I start coloring in anything. And so I need space. So it's also thinking about space, and time. And of course, knowing the dates when it's due. So we have to keep that in mind at all time. Listen, it's due here, but it doesn't mean if it's due April 10th. Today is April 1st. So I'm not going to start today. I'll start on the 5th. No, no, no. We can start gathering today. Let's do what we have going. In terms of writing books, and I've said this to folks, sit down in one day and write the entire book, especially if you are someone who've been had some kind of a trauma in your life and you're writing about it, you're going to be triggered. So whether you've been abused, you've been through an illness, you've had loss or divorce, when there are issues concerning traumatic um, situations that will trigger, when you're writing, you're going to be triggered. You will be triggered, but God. And if you're a Christian, He'll help you through it. However, I always say, and as a child of God, make sure you have a therapist. So as you write and you're triggered, you stop, you go to the Word, okay? You play some songs of encouragement, you talk to that therapist, ground yourself, get yourself grounded. Leave that however many page, maybe it was one page you were able to write, maybe it was even half of an experience you were able to write. Leave it alone. You may take a day off, but don't let too much time go in between. But as much time as you need to be centered again, then you go back. Maybe you want to write about a different portion number, you know, and you don't have to even put things in order. Next time you go to write, you write a pleasant experience, or maybe you want to give advice or something of the sort. You write that down, and you write and you write and you write. Then, if you feel this is chapter one, here's chapter one. That's chapter two. There's chapter two. Put it together, and then you start going over it, and then you before you know it, it comes together and you send it off to the publisher because you would have gotten a publisher in the meantime and in the between time while you're writing, right? So, you know, um, you can Google ways of how to have your, where are you going to market? What's the niche? So there are little things you can do in the interim, in the meantime. So just break each, like it's like taking baby steps. Remember our babies? Us, we did that. We probably don't remember when we started walking, but we can look at our babies and see, when they start walking and they're just toddling and just and you hold your head out. And, once they start stepping and they find, well, their gait's kind of steady, they're good to go. And then don't forget the runners, because you can't let them out of your sight because they just take off, right? So it's like that. There are days when you're doing step by step, a little bit at a time, that just and then, oh, I can walk. So you're doing more. This is when you're getting more into the meat of the matter. Then you run on. And before you know it, guess what? You'll end up finishing before the due date, right? And there is such a calm. The thing is, you can reward yourself after each portion of the task. And doesn't when I say reward yourself, doesn't necessarily mean um uh, to eat some food or fruits, or you can eat some fruits, definitely. Nothing wrong with that, right? Also, you could probably go for a walk to your favorite place. Maybe you can watch a movie. Just relax, some downtime. Spend time in the Word if you're a Christian and you've got a Bible, huh? Or just listen to some songs and just relax. So there are ways of rewarding yourself. right? There are ways. And so you reward yourself after each task and you're like, wow, I did it. I got it. Ooh, this part is accomplished. This part is completed. Yes, it's done. So, as I said, it's not difficult to overcome being a procrastinator. Please don't stay there if you're one. I've been there. I have so been there. I've allowed, I get the assignment and I'm like overwhelmed, like, oh, and then you know what? At the end of the day, when I'm like, well, that was a piece of cake. Like, why was I just built up in my head this whole big thing? But as I said, for me, I've learned I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and that He has given me power, love, and assignment, and I don't need to be fearful at all of my assignments, no matter what they are. So now I've completed projects. I've done projects within my community. I've done all kind of events, all different kinds of projects that I've done, writing. I've written books. I've told you about it. And to be honest with you, writing the books was never a big issue for me. Truthfully, you know why? Like I said, it's how I did it. I even the first book that was published, I actually wrote that I was sick and dying, literally. They could tell you how grave my family and physicians and surgeons could tell you how grave my situation was. Yet, I would, my family would prop me up. I had nowhere to go. I had nothing to do. With whatever little strength I did, I would write seriously. And then, guess what? I would just go to sleep. Then they would come and remove my laptop from off my, the situation that they set up for me. Because listen, as I said, I wasn't going no, anywhere. I wasn't even moving. And at the end of that, when I was finished, you know, in my case, my daughter helped me and she like put the chapters, you know, when I explained to her as best I could, she put the chapters together for me. Of course, she printed it out so I could have the visual. Me, I'm a hard copy person. I'll tell you that. So I needed some hard copy. Yes, I wrote it on here, but for me at that time, it wasn't even, I couldn't focus on like what's what. It was no, wasn't working that way. So I had to physically go through the hard copy, look for the typos and and she also helped there too. So we were like we piggyback off each other. And then when that was done, because I had researched and found a publisher when it was finished, before it was finished, I contacted them, let them know what phase I was at and so forth and so on. And, eventually we got to the point where I sent it off and then, the back and forth. And I was in the hospital when the book was published. So it was published. I wasn't even aware that my book was published, seriously. But I wrote it. First book that was published was written. It wasn't the first one I wrote, but it was the first one that was published. Um, and so I say that to say that, we just have to make time because time waits for no man. Time has wings, it flies. It seems as if, it's now 12:48 and I have been up since like after 4 this morning. So I'm like, wait, is this time already? But um, this is how time flies. But we can use our time productively. We can do things that, matter within the, it doesn't mean that you cannot rest and you cannot relax and you cannot have fun. Yes, you can, but we need to know that we need to take care of the things that are important, things that have deadline, make sure that we're not procrastinating. Yes, we can do it. No, we're not going to disqualify ourselves. No, we're not going to become overwhelmed. We're going to take it baby steps. step by step, make the to-do list, put the date, and also we can time ourselves. We can give ourselves time within that, like, okay, I will complete this within an hour. And to not, because you're not rushing anymore. If you get to an hour and you've completed it and you say, you know what, I want to continue, then you can continue. And then when you say, you know what, okay, this is it, I've had my fill, it's okay. Because you still have time, right? If the assignment, as I said, is due on April 10th, then I would have how many days, right? And if I started today, then I have 9 more days to complete some other things. But I tell you what, I'm not going to write it to have it end up on day 10. I want it like day 8 so that if I need, we have to make time, right? For if there are the mistakes, if there are things that needs to be done. And I've had done things at the deadline, like it's like, oh, time. Yes, I've been there. And as I said, it causes us stress. But when we space things out, then we don't have to deal with stress. And stress is not good for us in the first place. And yes, we can still produce great work without that pressure. You want to pressure yourself, then time yourself within the time. So, for instance, you started today. Let's say on day 4, you're at that task. Then put a timer there. How about that? Say, I'm going to finish this within the 2 hour span. Time yourself that way instead of leaving it until the absolute last minute. So, I hope this helps someone. As I said, I'm Florencia Chang-Ageda, and this topic was about procrastination. And you're looking at a former procrastinator. Do I still procrastinate here and there, but I'm no longer a chronic procrastinator? And that I can honestly say, well, yes, sometimes I do, but not often. Once in a while, because I don't, you know, the thing is too, once you realize the freedom that comes with not procrastinating, the peace that comes with not being a procrastinator, oh, you don't want to go back there. You really don't. And as I said, you're freed from um, being a people pleaser, being taking on too much at one time, but knowing within yourself that if you have a certain amount of tasks to accomplish, that you will accomplish them because they were assigned for you to do, and that, you have help. Oh, yes. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. So I pray this helps. You can go to my YouTube channel for those who are not on Facebook. And I am under Flo Chang-Ageda. That's Flo Chang-Ageda, same as my name on last name on Facebook. And you can share the message from there. So I hope this helps someone. Have a wonderful day. As I said, I got here to Monday to do Words of Pearls because I procrastinated. It's been a while, but yeah, still liberated. Have a wonderful day and a blessed week and month, knowing that it's spring. Spring is sprung. And, when spring is around, I don't know, don't you just feel like you're just so full of life? All right. Anyway, have a wonderful week. Uh, don't be afraid of Mondays, guys, because know that when you start Monday, be up and bouncing. And before you know it, the week would have ended and you wouldn't, if you started in dread, you're going to have dread throughout the week, is the point I'm trying to make. So if you start it by accepting and being welcoming, then you're going to do that throughout the rest of the week, right? All right. So have a wonderful day and week. And know that God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit loves us all so much more than we can ever imagine.